In today's video, I'm going to show you guys how you can deal more damage in Hypixel Skyblock. Increasing your damage is one of the most useful things you can do because a lot of aspects of the game involve dealing damage to things, whether it be slayers, making money, and dungeons. Making money, not all the methods involve dealing damage. Some, like Bizarre Flipping and Age Flipping, are pretty standard in terms of how much damage you need to do. 0. But a lot of other money-making methods actually do have a pretty high damage requirement, including one of the biggest ones, which is dungeons. Dungeons actually requires you to do a lot of damage, especially in higher floors. So in today's video, I'm going to be going over how you can deal more damage in Hypixel Skyblock. This is not one specific tip, but a bunch of tips that I've combined together into this comprehensive guide. If this video needs an update, I'll update it in a couple months, stuff like that. Just as new stuff is added that I think will help you. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is leveling up your combat level. So leveling up combat is actually incredibly important and way more important than you actually think. The combat skill consistently gives you more damage. As you can see, just going from level 1 to level 2 gives you 4% more damage. Level 25 will give you 100% more damage, and continuing on until level 50, where you end up dealing 200 extra damage. And that can be incredibly helpful, because the more damage you're dealing, the more money you're able to make. So getting that extra damage is incredibly important. By just playing the game, you will actually gain a lot of combat XP, but I have a complete video on my channel that will be linked down in the description that will basically tell you the best ways that you can level up combat XP, and just do combat things to level it up, and eventually you will get better, but there are specific ways, so I recommend you check out this video once you're done watching this one. The next tip we're going to talk about is gemstones. So gemstones can actually also add a lot of damage to your items. Not tons, but just a little bit of extra damage that, why would you not take it? Specifically, we are going to be looking at the Jasper gemstone. Now, it can get a little expensive. I'm probably going to go with the fine Jasper gemstone just for demonstration purposes to put on an item. So you can buy the gemstone and then go over to your grinder. It does give you extra strength, and strength is just a useful stat that does increase your damage. The higher the rarity of your item, the better. So if you have a higher rarity item, recombobulate it and stuff like that, like Hyperion is mythic, so that's pretty good for this, whereas something like the Aspect of the End, which is only rare, is not as good. But it is just a small improvement that you can add. So to add it, just go over to the gemstone grinder, add in your item, and you'll see it gives me 1 gemstone slot, and I can apply this Jasper gemstone, which will give me a little bit more strength. So I've applied it, and got a little bit of extra stuff. So feel free to do this if you want to just get a little bit of extra strength. And an honorable mention that I didn't want to dedicate a whole bullet point topic to is actually going to be the Art of War, which you can buy from the previously from Technoblade's Techno Shop, that adds 5 strength to your weapon a one-time use. So if we use Art of War, you can apply 1 of these to your item. They do get sort of expensive, but thankfully there are still a lot of them on the auction house, so you can use 1 of these and just apply it to your item. I would recommend doing this sooner rather than later, because the Art of War is becoming more rare since you cannot buy it anymore. You can only get it on the auction house. It is unobtainable any other way. So I recommend you get it now if you're going to. The next thing I'm going to talk about is pretty predictable: talismans. You need talismans. If you need help getting more talismans, I have a complete guide on my channel that should show you how you can get more talismans and fill up your accessory bag. But in the meantime, something you can do is place down redstone minions. That way you just max out your ability by getting this preposterous accessory bag upgrade, just so that you have access when you can put more talismans in and just fill up your bag. You'll see my co-op actually did double what the final tier is, just in case they add more of these, when they add more of these, probably, because there will be more talismans. So when they add more of these, we will be ready to have those extra slots without having to replace down redstone minions. So I highly recommend you at least get it to 1.4 million collection, just so that you have the opportunity to do that. But my video on how to get more talismans will be linked in the description. I also recommend you properly reforge your talismans using the reforged anvil, or just reforging at the blacksmith like you normally would. I have another guide on that on my channel. It's actually an optimizer that will help you optimize your talismans. You can click on that in the description. But if you don't want to go through all that process of the optimizer, one of the good ones to put it on your talismans is shaded. You'll see I personally have shaded on all our talismans, but I use the optimizer, so I have different reforges on different accessories. like so, just because it gives me the maximum bonus. So I recommend you try out the optimizer. The link to that video is in the description, but for now, just put your talismans on something like shaded. This is one of the things that will make the biggest difference in the video. Get your talismans. Our next point is actually also about reforging. You really need to optimize the reforges on your weapons as well. Like, for example, on the Hyperion, Withered is a very good reforge to have. But on the aspect of the end, Heroic is better because it gives me more intelligence rather than more damage. You really want to check which reforge is going to be the best for your items. The optimizer video that I leave linked in the description will also help you about that, but I recommend you also look into it more for yourself, just based on which one it is, because not every weapon has the same reforge. For example, something like the Livid Dagger is normally unfabled, whereas a Midas has to be ungilded. And Spicy is another common one. Suspicious. Just check which one will be the best for your item. You can either do your own tests or look on the optimizer. And in terms of armor, you should almost always be using Ancient on your armor. Ancient is just a great all-around armor reforge. It gives you extra stuff, but Loving is good for some chest plates. It really depends. I recommend you also check out the optimizer for which one is going to be the best. If you want a whole video on armor reforging, I can definitely put one of those together. So just let me know down in the comments, and you can check down in the description, because if I did make one and it's good enough, then I will definitely add it down below. Here are a few bonuses. Make sure you have a God Potion on. You can obtain a God Potion by going over to the community shop and buying a God Potion like so in the bits category. But make sure you have a God Potion on. It gives you literally every potion effect in the game and is super useful. I highly recommend getting a God Potion. It will increase your damage because you will have access to all of these awesome potion effects. Like this one increases bow damage by 80%. This one deals damage 40 damage per second. Armor combat XP, that's useful for what I talked about earlier. Critical 4 gives you extra crit damage and crit chance, and magic find. Just having these potion effects is incredibly useful, and I highly recommend you get a God Pop. Another thing is, get your Fairy Souls. While they may not directly increase your damage that much, they will indirectly help you a lot. You'll see I did actually get some extra base strength from my Fairy Souls, so I highly recommend you do get all of your Fairy Souls. Another thing would be to make sure that you have the best ultimate enchant on your weapons. Ultimate enchants, like for me, Ultimate Wise 5 on this weapon, Ultimate Wise 5 on this weapon, can actually make a huge difference, because the ultimate enchant can boost its damage, can boost how useful it is, and make you deal more damage, can boost how many times you can use it, like with Ultimate Wise 5. Watch my video on the best ultimate enchant for your items to make sure that your items have the proper enchants to help you be dealing the most damage, or whatever else your goal may be. That video will also be linked down below with the rest of them. So thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope it was helpful to you, and I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.